Game week 21 has become the most important game week of the season for our FPL transfer plans, with future double and blank game weeks on the horizon, injuries to some of the most popular players in the game. It is so important to get your transfers right this game week. I've got mine confirmed almost, and I'm going to reveal that in today's video. So as always, please do consider dropping a like. We're aiming for 200 on this video. I know you legends could do that. And if you want to, please do consider becoming a subscriber to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into today's video. So first up, we need to take a look at how the team is looking without any transfers made. I have 2 free transfers available, 3.3 million in the bank. And as you can see, I have a lot of issues with the team. We have red flags for Trent, Son, Salah, and it's also worth noting Charlie Taylor is also yellow flagged in the game. So my team is in a lot of bother right now. So I want to work through each player first and foremost, because I imagine a lot of you do own these and you're probably wondering what to do with them. So first up, Trent Alexander-Arnold. I'm going to put a bit of a quote up on here. It looks like he's ruled out for the next few weeks due to an injury. Now, it's worth noting game week 21 looks like it is going to be too soon for him to return, but they haven't ruled out game week 22 as a potential return. And the reason being is because game week 21 is so long that the game week 22 fixture isn't actually for a few weeks' time. So Trent could be available for game week 22. So it means he isn't a desperate transfer. If it was to be an injury during the Christmas time, for example, we know that the fixtures are so congested, he probably would have missed loads of game weeks. So I don't think Trent is a desperate sell right now, but do be noted that he probably is going to be out for game week 21. Now, taking a look at Son, the reason why he's red flagged right now is because of the involvement in the Asian Cup. Now, South Korea are one of the favourites in this tournament, so we are anticipating Son to be out for a few more game weeks than maybe the likes of Mo Salah. Realistically, I think we are projecting Son to be back in either game weeks 24 or game weeks 25, and because of that reason, I do think Son is worth selling in your FPL teams. I think it's too much money invested in a player that we kind of are anticipating to be out for at least 4 game weeks. And the same can sort of be said for Mo Salah, although Egypt are about 5th or 6th favourites for the African Cup of Nations. So with Mo Salah, I think there is a little bit more of a difficulty. The reason being is because of the potential upcoming blank and double game weeks. Now, I'm going to put a graphic up here from Mikkel Topvan. Please do follow him on Twitter, a brilliant account, which shows the anticipated doubles and blank game weeks. Now, I do want to kind of obviously stress here, these are only projections, but it does look like there could be a double game week for Liverpool in game week 25. And this makes it really difficult and confusing what to do with your Liverpool assets. If you move away from them, you're going to want them back in game week 25 if they were to double in that game weekend. It could be a really favourable one with one of those fixtures being at home against Luton. So it makes it a little bit more complicated. I'm going to go through my team and the reasons being on what I'm doing with my Liverpool players. But I just wanted to give you a quick overview on exactly what is going on with those players that are red flagged. Okay, so usually in these sort of videos, I reveal my team and tell you exactly what I'm doing, but I think it's so important to give you a little bit of context on what I am doing with my team and the reason being, because you might be sat there with a very similar team and this might actually help you out. So first and foremost, as I mentioned, game week 21 is one of the most important game weeks of the season because we have all of these kind of crossroad moments where do we sell Liverpool or do we keep them for the upcoming potential double game week in 25? I really do want to stress that it's only a potential double game week. And we also do need to have a little bit of an idea on when do we want to bring Erling Haaland back into our teams. It looks like he could be back in full training, but for me, I think his minutes are too much of a risk in game week 21 to want to bring him in. I think game week 22 is the perfect opportunity to get him into our teams with their brilliant home fixture against Burnley. So with that said, it just makes it even more important to be planning your transfers in advance. And I thought I'd use my team as a perfect example here to give you an indication of going one way can really impact a certain decision later down the line. So look at my team right now. As we discussed, Son for me is a guaranteed sell because Spurs don't have any upcoming double game weeks, and I expect Son to be out for a number of game weeks due to his involvement in the Asian Cup. So selling Son right now is an absolute guarantee. And if you've previously watched my videos, and I really do highly recommend watching the game week 21 content because I've deep dived into the best Son and Salah replacements. I love to have Bowen, but I'm ruling him out due to the injury that he did have. So now we're looking at a few options, and those include Phil Foden, who is the most expensive at 7.8 million, Richarlison at 6.9, or Pascal Gross at 6.4 million. All brilliant options, but one of these does cause problems later down the line. So let's say we were to bring in Phil Foden for this game week, and of course we would start him in the place of Mabama. My team will come up with a 4-4-2, and I'll roll the second free transfer because I'll gain a little bit more information going into game week 22. The reason being is we might get more information on whether Egypt are going to progress in the African Cup of Nations. And we'll also get an update regarding Trent Alexander-Arnold, whether he will return from his injury. So if we were to go for that transfer, we would come into game week 22 with 2 free transfers. But of course, one of those moves has to be bringing in Erling Haaland. Now, because of the upcoming fixtures for Dominic Solanke, I personally don't think that this is a forward that I want to sell. He is ticking all of the boxes right now. Highly owned in the FPL active community. Great long-term fixtures, and he's a talisman in that Bournemouth team. Until I see something actually happen with him, I don't really want to sell him. Now, of course, this is dependent on you as an FPL manager, because selling Solanke to Erling Haaland is quite an easy way of getting him back. And I'm not saying that I should definitely not sell him, but I do think Solanke is a hold right now. So for that reason, I think sending Mabama in my team makes a lot of sense. And then, of course, I would bring in Erling Haaland. Now, the issue with this, and you might be able to see, is that I have minus 4.7 million in the bank. So I need to downgrade a player somewhere in the team. And obviously, looking at the players that I have available, those that I don't really want to sell, the only 2 that I can downgrade that actually are cash cows is going to be Mo Salah or Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, this is the issue with downgrading Trent, is that I have 3.7 million in the bank and there are no defenders in the game that I can buy for 3.7 million, or at least that I want in my team. So because of this reason of buying Phil Foden, it means that I am forced to sell Mo Salah regardless whether I want to or not, in order to actually enable the transfer of Erling Haaland. So because of that, I don't think Phil Foden is an option for my team, or even if he is for game week 21, I might as well sell Mo Salah in game week 21 as well to make the most of the transfer, because if I'm doing the Foden move, I'm shoehorning Haaland in game week 22, meaning I'm forced to sell Mo Salah. So for that very reason for my team, unfortunately, I don't think I can buy Phil Foden, because it means too many issues later down the line. An impossible way of me bringing Erling Haaland back into the team without selling Dominic Solanke, and as you know, I don't want to be selling him. So for that reason, I think Phil Foden is a phenomenal option for your teams. But for my team personally, I just don't think it is going to be working out, which is a real shame. Now, with that understanding of spending that money on Phil Foden being an issue for me from game week 22 onwards, I need to take a look at the alternatives available. And as we discussed, Richarlison or Pascal Gross are the 2 that I'm comparing right now. So if we were to sell Son down and bring in somebody like a Richarlison, for example, who I will need to search, I do apologise, we will be looking at a much healthier option of 6 million in the bank. I would then roll my second free transfer, which we discussed already, and game week 22 will look something like this. Now, of course, the updates on Mo Salah and Trent, as we said, will dictate the direction that the team goes for. But if we were to anticipate that Mo Salah was to remain in my team, I do have the luxury and the option of then downgrading Trent Alexander-Arnold to a 4.7 million defender, which in this case, it could be somebody like Augusto, who is cheap at 4.2. And that would leave me 10.2 million in the bank, which is enough. It's a sufficient amount of money to then upgrade Mabama into a certain Erling Haaland. And because of that reason, with 0.5 million in the bank, my team starts to look a lot healthier than what it would do if I was to have Phil Foden in this team. Then, of course, that means I can keep Mo Salah into the side. Now, this is going to change, of course, if Egypt are doing really well in the competition. Then I might have to consider a Mo Salah exit of the team. But as we speak, I think this team makes a lot of sense. I go for Richarlison or Pascal Gross. It means that I have the money to instantly bring Erling Haaland back into the team in game week 22. And it also means I can wait one more game week to understand whether Trent is going to be available from his injury, or if Egypt make an early exit. If they don't, maybe Mo Salah is worth selling. So with all that said and done, let's go into my official Game Week 21 team reveal. The goalkeeper picks itself, Areola away against Sheffield United. I'm hoping for a clean sheet. I think with all the injuries West Ham have to Paqueta and Bowen, I'm hoping they just go there and try and get a draw and make it really, really difficult for Sheffield United. The defence is an issue. Pedro Porro away against Man United. I think Man United will score against the high line of Spurs. Charlie Taylor is an issue who is currently yellow flagged, but again, I'm just praying to the FPL gods that Vincent Kompany gets him out on that field. It is really important for my team. And I've got the double Arsenal defence at home against Crystal Palace. I think that in itself is going to be a major differential. It's let me down in weeks gone by. This could be the last time that I do play it. And I really am hoping that they can deliver. And Arsenal, who have basically 10 days rest in preparation for this Crystal Palace game, I think are going to be in a better place than what we've seen them in the last few weeks. I do think Mikel Arteta is going to turn it around for Arsenal, and I'm hoping that does kickstart them with a clean sheet. Moving into the midfielders, and as we discussed, Richarlison or Pascal Gross was the two that I was considering, but right now I am leaning towards Richarlison. I think he is a bit more of a minutes risk than Pascal Gross. I don't think he's as good on the bonus points, but when we have a midfielder playing as a forward in an attacking team like Angers, I just don't think I can overlook it right now. I think it makes a lot of sense for my team. I think Pascal Gross is great. The numbers aren't fantastic though, but I think he will tick over really nicely with some amazing fixtures on the horizon for Brighton. But for me, I just don't get excited by Pascal Gross as an option, whereas I think 65 minutes of Richarlison versus 90 minutes of Pascal Gross, I think I'd rather have Richarlison even with those minutes risks. Alongside him, Cole Palmer, obviously a fantastic option, and we will discuss captaincy in a minute. Gordon, not ideal, but Man City aren't exactly watertight defensively this season, and I am hoping Newcastle start to turn a corner a little bit. So fingers crossed Gordon can actually be delivering in this tough fixture. And Bukayo Saka, a really indifferent form period for him, but at home against Crystal Palace, and as we discussed, a 10-day period for them to basically rest, recover and plan. I think Arteta is going to actually put in a decent performance for Arsenal here, and I'm hoping Saka can spearhead that attack for them against a Crystal Palace defence who are very hot and cold, do put up some good numbers some weeks and put up some bad numbers the rest. I think this is the opportunity to maybe captain Bukayo Saka, but again, we will come on to that in a minute. And last up the forwards, obviously no real surprises here. Ollie Watkins away against Everton and Solanke at home against Liverpool. I don't really mind these two. I think Watkins has a tricky fixture, but I back Aston Villa basically in any game. And Solanke at home against a Liverpool team. Bournemouth have been fantastic recently. I think Liverpool are very good, but with the absence of Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold, for example, I think Bournemouth could get a little bit of joy against Liverpool this game week. And I don't really want to sell Solanke, as we discussed, because he is ticking all the boxes right now, being a talisman, penalty taker, and just good fixtures long-term for Bournemouth. So that is how the team is currently looking. As we discussed, I would love Phil Foden in this team, but it just hinders me later down the line, especially with the strategy of keeping the Liverpool pair for one more game week at least, just to gain a little bit of information. If we were to find out that more news came out over the next 24 hours that Trent is ruled out for the next 2 months, then I definitely would sell him and change the direction of this team. But at the time of recording, this is how we are going. I'm avoiding Phil Foden. I do not like it at all, but it means that I can easily bring Erling Haaland back into this team from game week 22 and beyond. Let's quickly discuss captaincy, as I think that's a really important part of this game week. So captaincy feels like a really big variable this game week. I think previous game weeks we've gone for options where we've had loads of amazing ones, and this week feels like the best of the worst. Now, I'm leaning towards Bukayo Saka right now. Now, game week 21 is like really long. It's like 10 days long, and Bukayo Saka isn't playing until next weekend, whereas Cole Palmer is playing this weekend, which might be a factor for you because anything can happen over the next week. Maybe a training session injury and Bukayo Saka is then ruled out. So do obviously note that you are taking a risk with that. But for me, Arsenal, I think, are going to return to their best eventually. I just don't think they're in a bad slump as others are suggesting. I think Bukayo Saka is one of the best options in terms of guaranteed minutes and on penalties. And they've had a massive rest period in preparation for this Crystal Palace game, whereas Crystal Palace are playing multiple games over this period. I think it's a recipe for a comfortable Arsenal victory, and that is why I'm going for Bukayo Saka. I think Cole Palmer is a fantastic option, very similar to Saka, guaranteed minutes on penalties, and probably the talisman of this Chelsea team right now. And they do play this weekend, so you don't have as much stress about, is there going to be injuries in the following up week? My issue, Chelsea, really hard to predict right now. And also they have a really important second leg tie against Middlesbrough in the Carabao Cup, which they are obviously going to be looking forward to. And I think Fulham are a good team as well. I think someone like a João Paulino could dominate Palmer in those central areas alongside beating that Chelsea midfield. So for that reason, I just see a more comfortable victory for Arsenal, and I feel more confident investing in their attacking line. And for that reason, Bukayo Saka is going to be my captaincy pick. Yes, guys, okay, that's going to wrap up today's Game Week 21 team reveal video. I would love to have sat here and gone through a 5-minute video on what my team is, but I really think that it was important to give you context on the decision making that I'm doing with my team, as it is going to impact your team later down the line. So hopefully that did provide a bit of value. As always, if you did enjoy the video, please do drop a like, smash that subscribe button. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you in tomorrow's deadline live stream. Take care. Cheers.